Hey third grade, Mrs. Selfridge here. Hope you're doing well. The weather's supposed to be beautiful today, so hopefully we can get through this math lesson fairly quickly and you can get outside and enjoy this weather. So we're going to start on page 595 in your math books. I sent you a copy of the Check My Progress from yesterday, the day before yesterday, as an attachment. You can hopefully check your work. Make sure you're doing okay in math. But today we're going to start a new activity, hands-on, building it with fractions on a number line. So on page 595, we'll get started there. It says represent the fraction 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3 on a number line. Okay, so when you do this, you start at the left. This is a third, this is a third, this is a third. Okay, what fraction does the shaded area represent? Each one of these shaded areas represents 1/3. So if you guys could go ahead and fill that in. Represent the fractions 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3 on a number line. Place a second and third 1/3 tile above the number line next to the shaded figure. Trace the tiles, shade the figures. Obviously you're not going to do this, but if you look back at your work here, they're asking you to put a second one here and a third one here. If you don't have that in your book, you can go ahead and add a second one and a third one here. What fraction do the first two shaded areas represent together? That would be 2/3. And what fraction do all three shaded areas represent? That would be 3/3. We would say that 1/3 equals 1 part, 2/3 equals 2 parts, and 3/3 equals 3 parts. Again, you guys can pause the video when you need to. Keep going here. Locate the fractions 1/3 and 2/3 on the number line. One endpoint of the fraction tile that represents 1/3 is at 0. Make a tick mark on the number line to show the other endpoint and label the fraction. So that's what they did. They made this number line into 3 parts, and they started one here and they just drew the tick lines like this. Okay. Label the fractions. So if this was 1/3, this would be 2/3, and then this would be 3/3. Or when we have 3/3, we'd also call that a whole, or 1. Okay, one endpoint of the two fraction tiles that represents 2/3 is at 0. Make a tick mark on the number line to show the other endpoint and label the fraction. You guys can go ahead and do that. Where would you place the tick mark for the fraction 3/3? Well, if you were doing that, you'd place it at 1, because on a number line, 3/3 is the same as one whole. You don't have to write sample answer. We know that though, right? Okay, Sam is making a number line and wants to mark a point for 3/4 on the number line. Into how many parts should he divide the number line and explain? I kind of think of when we do number lines, your denominator is a good clue to how many parts you're going to divide your number line into. So looking at your denominator, what would you divide it into? Yep, 4. Okay, the denominator is 4, so the whole is divided into 4 parts. Okay, suppose Lisa makes a number line from 0 to 1. Then she divides the number line into 8 parts. What 7 fractions will she place at each to tick mark between 0 and 1? I helped you out on this one a little bit. Sorry for my wobbly camera here. Think about it like this. So there's 0 to 1, and each part's divided by the denominator into 8 parts. So look at the fractions she's going to use. Probably 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, and 7/8. Okay, you guys can go ahead and add those. Right, label each unknown with the fraction of the whole it represents. So we have 1/6, 1/6, 1/6. What do you think we have here? Yep, 1/6, 1/6, and what do you think here? 1/6, you got it. Label each unknown with the fraction of the whole it represents. This is 1/3. What would this be? And what would this be? Go ahead and fill it in. See if you get it. Hopefully you did. Each one of those is 1/3. Okay. Now we're going to label the fractions on the number line between 0 and 1. If this is 0 and this is 1 whole, what's in between? Again, look at the denominator here. When you look at the denominator, you know the denominator is going to be the same here. So you'd put a 2 for the denominator. What would that be? It'd be a 1. Here's 2/2. This would be 1/2. Same thing here. 0, 1/4, something, something, 4/4. So I think we're going to go with 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. Look at each section and figure out how much you're dividing the number line into. How many equal parts? Okay, label the fractions on the number line between 0 and 1. So again, looking at our denominators, we're dividing this number line into 8 equal parts. You can even look backwards if you want to. 8 eighths, 7 eighths. What do you think this one's going to be? Yep, 6 eighths, 5 eighths, 4 eighths, 3 eighths, 2 eighths, and 1 eighth. Go ahead and fill that in. Okay, for this one, write the point that represents each fraction. So 2/6 is represented by which point? So this number line is divided into 6 equal parts. 6, 6, this would be 5, 6, 4, 6, 3, 6. Oh, right there, 2, 6. So your answer is C. And see if you can figure out number 10 on your own. Got it? D. Okay. There are 6 students in the science lab. 4 of the students are girls. Label the fraction on the number line which represents the number of students that are girls. Okay, so all we need to do here is see that our number line is divided into 6 equal parts. This is 6, 6, so this would be 5, 6, 4, 6, 3, 6, 2, 6, 1, 6, and then 0. So 4 of the students are girls, so we just need to find 4, 6. 2, 3, 4. We should be able to label that right there. Yep. Put a dot and write 4, 6. Okay. Matt drank 2/4 of his fruit smoothie. Label the fraction on the number line which represents the portion of the fruit smoothie Matt drank. Find 2/4 and label that. Very good. A walking trail is 8 miles long. Mabel has walked 2 more miles than Sherry. Sherry's walked 3/8 of the trail. Label the fraction on the number line which represents the part of the trail Mabel has walked. Now remember, Sherry's walked 3/8, so 2 more would be 5/8. So find 5/8 on the number line and label it. And number 14, partition the number line into 6. Label each point on the number line. So do your best to make this 6 equal parts and label them, starting with 1, 6, 2, 6, just like this. Start with 0. And then go to 1 whole. 6, 6 is actually 1 whole. Okay, why are number lines helpful? Well, you don't have to write sample answer, but number lines, you can draw a number line from 0 to 1 and divide the whole into any number of equal parts. Okay, it looks like it's homework time. So, on your homework today, just take your time. Mrs. Selfridge will try to attach an answer sheet, or I may have you fill out how you did for me online and let you know, but keep doing your best. I know fractions are new, and I sure do wish we were in class so that we could have some fraction tiles and fraction strips out to help us out. For right now, though, you guys are doing a great job. When we get back to school, we'll have a fraction party, I promise. All right, keep practicing your multiplication facts and know I miss you. Take care. Bye.